Slingshot is a new psychological thriller set in space. It is definitely a science fiction movie, but with an emphasis on the science, as it is much more grounded, with the only major leaps in science being with the usage of what are called deep hibernation pods to extend spaceflight. Think cryopods from other movies. The movie centers around our main character, John, played by Casey Affleck. He is an ex-fighter pilot who has applied to go on a long-term space mission. He has no major family or ties to the Earth itself. He is clearly a loner with his goal to be getting onto this mission. He is selected for the mission and joined by two fellow crewmates, Captain Franks, played by Lawrence Fishburne, and Nash, played by Tomar Capone. Their mission is to take their ship, the Odyssey, to one of the moons of Saturn, specifically Titan, to extract methane gas, which will help the Earth with global warming. To get to Saturn, the crew must use Jupiter's gravitational pull to slingshot them closer to Titan, which will give them a huge momentum boost. Their mission is at least 4 years long, if not longer, as it will take them at least 2 years just to get to Jupiter alone to perform the slingshot maneuver. Since it will take so long, the crew must undergo regular extended sleep in the deep hibernation pods to conserve resources, only awakening every 90 days to check on the ship and their personal vitals. It is during these hibernation scenes that we are introduced to our other main character, Zoe, played by Emily Beekman. She is a scientist working on the mission to Titan. She is dedicated to her work and even admits that her longest relationship has been to her job. As the movie progresses, we will learn more about John and Zoe's relationship through these flashback scenes thanks to the deep hibernation pods. And this relationship becomes the main side story of the movie itself. In the present, whenever the crew awakes from deep hibernation, we are reminded that the extended use of deep hibernation pods can lead to confusion, sickness, paranoia, aka all sorts of fun mental issues to push the plot forward. Every time the crew of the Odyssey wakes up from the deep hibernation sleep, not only will they check on the ship, they will also perform psych evals to make sure they are all still sane and know what is going on. And well, you can clearly see where this is going, can't you? Every time the crew wakes up, their sanity seems to take a hit. John starts to forget things and starts seeing things. Nash begins to grow more strung out, and the captain appears to be the most sane, but his dialogue doesn't always convey that. All of this comes to a head when a foreign object, possibly a meteor, hits the hull of the ship and leaves a huge dent in the vents. However, the ship says that there is nothing wrong, and the captain sides with the ship on this one. They desperately try to make contact with Mission Control to figure out what's going on, but the connection seems to have gone dark. This leads to the primary conflict of the movie, the captain siding with the ship, Nash thinking the captain is crazy, and John not sure what to do. The movie at this point is supposed to delve into a mystery of who is sane and make the viewer question what they are seeing. This leads to the first problem with this movie. For a thriller about crazy people, you need one of them to appear less crazy than the rest, but by the time the tensions rise, you already don't think any of them are in their right mind. The movie will already have shown you that our protagonist is already hallucinating, and it clearly shows Nash is losing it. And while Captain Franks is supposed to be the non-crazy one at first, his dialogue doesn't make sense, and he will contradict himself. For example, when the asteroid hits, Franks will tell the crew that there is nothing wrong and we should just keep going. He will then walk away to the kitchen, and the crew will follow him, where he then explains to them that he's worried about the structural integrity of the ship and they should look into that, otherwise there could be a problem. Doesn't quite make sense. Additionally, as the crew begins to delve into madness, a great movie will have you questioning what is reality and what is fake. However, most of the hallucinations that are presented, you're never going to question if they are real. They are so clearly not possible that it just doesn't even get you going. So for this movie to earn its psychological thriller label, this movie tries to introduce a twist in the third act that does help to justify some of the characters' motivations. But without that twist, this movie barely sticks the landing. So, what did this movie do well? Well, this is going to sound funny coming from a sci-fi fan, but the best part of this movie was the romance between John and Zoe that was told primarily through flashbacks. They delved in how both of these characters sign up for the program and how they are both married to their jobs. They both agreed to having a fling with each other as they both knew if John got selected, he wouldn't be back for a minimum of 4 years. It is that story that is the best part of this movie. How they focus on how hard it would be to love someone that is married to their job, and how when their job finally separates them, the mental and emotional toll it would take on that person. That is truly the best part of this movie. The idea of accidentally falling in love when someone's about to leave her 4-year mission, and how hard that would be to decide between the two, is the story that should have been told in this movie. I wish we had seen more of this because the two actors just had so much chemistry together. However, outside of the love story, I can't delve too deep into this movie without giving spoilers on the twist, and that makes this hard. I do think the twist does help this movie. However, I don't think a twist should save a movie. A twist is just meant to enhance a great movie, not fix a mediocre movie. It is just like pairing a wine with steak. Doesn't matter how good the wine is. If the steak is overcooked, you'll only remember the wine, but it's not going to be a good meal. And honestly, I think people will only remember the twist of this movie and not the movie itself. But for me, the wine was surprising, but the steak was overcooked and underseasoned. So this movie gets a 1.5 out of 4. The romance was great, but the movie offered nothing new and relied on the twist to make it a good movie. This has been SOS Movie Reviews, putting the review back in the reviewer. Signing off.